Yo, what is up? This is going to be the exact PropFirm structure that I used to request $20,000 in the past 14 days. And just so y'all don't think I am capping on my ass, this is July 10th, this is on July 13th, and this is on July 24th. And you guys can add it up. It will be like 19 something, right? We're going to round it up to 20 for the video and for the thumbnail. Thank you. 20K in 14 days. Here's how, right? I know this might be relatable to y'all in the moment, but this was the most relatable to me back in the day, right? I would spend probably months on challenges, months on end, failing challenges, right? Low risking evals, low risking the funded stage, right? I might have like 1 to 2 weeks of like good trading, right? I would have good trading, right? And then I would maybe tilt, do something stupid, right? And then that would wipe out months or weeks of progress, right? And I was doing the same thing over and over again until I changed these couple of not so it's not only one thing. I'm not gonna lie, right? I'm not gonna flip flop it, right? But it is these are the things that I have changed in my trading, and especially my structure to allow me to request $20,000 in 14 days. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say this works on every single firm and every single account type, right? But what I will be telling you guys is what accounts I personally used to request $20,000 in 14 days, right? And the types of accounts I like to look for and I like to buy. For this run in specific, I have 5 50K daily loss limit accounts, right? What's good about the daily loss limit accounts are, well, actually, let's start with the cons first, right? You have a daily loss limit. Okay, boom, right? You automatically have half of your risk size that you can put on, right? Technically, because I do like to high leverage accounts. I'll be getting into that later. But you have a daily loss limit of $8,000. But the good thing about this is a soft daily loss limit, right? So even if you do hit the $1,000, let's say you put a trade and you hit your stop loss of $1,000, right? It wouldn't blow the account. It would just stop that for the rest of the day, right? I used to have a problem where go on tilt, right, and wipe out the account fully, right? This stops you from doing that. This doesn't even allow you to blow the account. So that's why these accounts are goated, right? This is why Top Step is goated as well. These accounts also don't have consistency rules on the funded stage, right? They do have consistency rules on the eval stage, but most accounts have consistency rule on the eval stage anyways, right? And it's not that bad, right? It's only a $3,000 profit target. You still have your $2,000 worth of drawdown, and you can risk $1,000 per trade, right? But I'll be getting into risk and what you should do for that a bit later, okay? What you could also run, right? What I also got $4,000 in payouts on are these 25K flexes. I had 4 25K flex accounts. What's good about Lucid is it is the same rules as Top Step, right? But these flex accounts are really good because of the profit target to maximum loss limit ratio, right? You see how we have $1,000 worth of drawdown and our profit target's only 1,250, right? So on 25Ks, let me pull out the calculator. $3,000 worth of drawdown, and you have around 2,000. So you have a 1.5 ratio, right, between drawdown and profit, right, for the 25K accounts, which I do recommend if you are starting, right? They are the cheapest account, the easiest account to pass. So they have a 1.25 ratio, right? So you will be more likely to pass the 25K flexes rather than these 50K accounts, right? So boom, these are the account size, account rules that I like to use, right? Pretty simple. I'm not gonna talk your ear off about the accounts, right? All right, for this strategy, right, I'm not really gonna go too deep into this video, right? I might make my own little version of a strategy video later down the line, right? But what I would like to recommend everybody, if you are starting with trading, if you're no fair value gaps, no ICT for a while now, go just watch BNQ, right? Bionic NQ on YouTube. It's pretty much all you need to know wrapped in one, right? This is like holy grail of ball knowledge, in terms of ICT, right? So that's pretty much it. But I do believe that you can trade prop firms with pretty much any strategy, right? As long as you have your own discretion in the market, you know your win rate, you know your RR, right? So you can actually calculate how much you would spend, right, on accounts, which we'll get to that later, right? And yeah, as long as you know you have your own thought process on the market, right, which I will start to explain later as well. So yeah, for strategy, just go watch BNQ, right, or go watch pretty much any creator that you want to watch, right? Speed run discretion. Okay, I do have my own journaling software. Yeah, this is a soft plug, I am very sorry, right? But it does work fucking very, very well, I'm not gonna lie, right? It lets you journal trades pretty relatively easy. Like, I have all these trades journaled, around 300 trades journaled and back testing across 28 months, right? Tells me the win rate. I can go back and look at my trades at any single moment, right? Any given moment, right? Let's say this, right? I could look back, see what I did well, right? See what I marked, right? It gives me a trade analysis. And yeah, right? All I have to do is just answer a couple questions and it journals it for me. But if you don't want to do that, you can also journal it in Notion, right? Again, if you watch BNQ, right, Bionic, right, he does have a Notion template that you guys could journal in that as well, right? If you guys are in BNQ Discord, though, you guys do get this software for free, right? It's not really something Ronan's offering, but I'm offering it because I basically started my trading journey. I mean, not really started, but finished my trading journey in this server, so I'll just bless y'all for the free, bro. But other than that, you will need to journal all of your trades, right? Your fades, the trades that you faded, the trades that you ended up taking, the trades that you got stopped out on, the trades that I don't even know anything, right? And I need you guys to review the market after. Like, let's say you woke up 9:30, boom, 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 all right, you traded, let's say at 12 or whenever, let's say you have work, whenever you get off work, you revisit that with a fresh pair of eyes. You go into FX replay, not FX replay, but the trading view, the bar replay, and then you guys can journal that, right? Go back, look at that, see what happened throughout the market, see anything that stands out to you, journal it, write it down, and yeah, pretty much collect all the data that you need, right? After you collected the data, right, you guys can see I have a 70% win rate on any given month, right? It goes up, it goes down, whatever the fuck, right? I have around a 70% win rate, right? After you have your win rate and after you have your RR, right, which I have around a 1 to 1.5, 1.6, as you can see, R, right, on any given trade, right? Then you can start calculating how much you can really expect to see yourself losing on accounts, right? Okay. So, okay, you're going to start journaling and build confidence, right? That's how you're going to start risking more. And we're going to get into risk structure in the next section, but yeah, that's how you start risking more. That's how you start being a little bit more confident in your trades, a little bit more whatchamacallit? Yeah, just confident in your trades overall. But I'm done talking y'all's ears off about journaling, right? You guys could also watch a cool video about journaling. Whoever has a journaling video, just watch them, right? Or I'll probably make one later down the line, right? So boom, just journal. Alright, the audio kind of cut out on this video, but I'll try to revive it as much as I can, right? In this voiceover. I am doing a voiceover right here, so bear with me. But the most important part of this is probably the risk structure, right, for evals. I think I'm doodling right here, trying to get the correct pen. But But for evals, I do like to risk the entire drawdown, and for funded accounts, I also like to risk the entire drawdown, right? How I do this and why I do this, I think I cover a little bit later in the video with my little drawings and shit. But you have to keep in mind these accounts cost $70 and $100 to be fully funded with around $2,000 worth of drawdown, right? So you're putting up your $70 and you're getting $1,000 worth of buying power and getting a expected payout of the $1,000 as well, right? And I go over this right here, right? And you can read the little stats, right, that I ChatGPT'd, right? It's basically just how much you're gonna be expected to sell off, or like how much you're expected to lose, right, with your stats, right? So the most important part of this is actually understanding your system, understanding your win rate, and understanding your average RR, right? So after you understand those, right, all you have to do is pretty much plug them into any calculator that you have, right? And just overall see, right, how much you're actually risking on the accounts, right, to make, right? For the 25K flexors, right, they have a minimum payout of $500, right? So you need at least $1,000 buffer, right, or $1,000 balance to request $500, right? So for me, since I have a 70% win rate and a 1 to 1.5 R, right, I have a 90-ish percent chance. I wouldn't say it's around 90% chance of hitting the $1,000 payout, right? I would say it's around like probably 70-ish, 55-ish, 60-ish, right? To actually receive a payout, right? So I could risk the $1,000, right? And then that would only cost me out of pocket, right, probably around $70 to $140, $280, right, to receive a $1,000 payout, right? So what that means for you is, like, if you have a higher RR, right, all you have to do is, let's say you have a higher RR, lower win rate, right? All you have to do is find your stats, right, and then plug those in into ChatGPT, into Claude, do something, right? Plug the account rules, right? You see how you have a $2,000 daily loss. I mean, not daily loss, but drawdown and a $3,000 profit target. You would just risk accordingly to whatever stats that you have, right? I see a lot of traders that risk $200, $300 on their funded account, saying that they're disciplined, right? And that doesn't really mean nothing, right? If you have no stats behind it, if you have no like uh, actual understanding of actually how to trade these funded accounts, right? If you're just low risking funded accounts, you're not getting any payouts. Like there's just still no point, right? Like low risking accounts are good to a certain extent, right? Let's say you're starting to learn how to trade maybe, but after a couple months, right, after 2, 3, 4 months, if you don't have your own data, right, collected, if you don't have your own understanding in the market, right, you're not going to be able to like request these big payouts. Like how I showed, I requested 20K 14 days, right? That is because I have full confidence in my system and my strategy, so I'm able to risk heavier on these accounts, right? Right here, I'm just basically talking about how you need to journal a system, right? I like my system. I like my software that I built. You could also build a software like this. It's not really that hard. You don't have to buy it from me, dude. Honestly, you can just make it on Claude, bro. Like that's what I did. You guys can do that too, right? But I've already built that out for y'all. If y'all want to use that, y'all can use that, bro. You can also use Notion. You can also use Google Docs. You can also use FX replays. Journal, right? It doesn't really matter, right? As long as you journal extensively and actually collect data on your strategy. That's all that flipping matters, right? But let's go back to the cost breakdown, right? I also like to risk the entire drawdown for funded accounts as well, right? I don't think I really showed that yet, right? I think I'm just talking about how the 25K flex, just like the probability of passing, right? Oh yeah, this is how you can calculate whatchamacallit, your cost of spend, right? Or how many accounts you can buy, or how many accounts you can be expected to blow, right? Expected to blow, right? You take your RR, you take your win rate, and you take your income, right? Now you have your RR and your win rate with your system, right? So you're gonna take those two, take your income, and see how much the accounts cost, right? Then what you're gonna do is plug that in to a calculator, right? Now that you have your win rate RR, you're gonna take the account rules, see the account rules, plug that all into ChatGPT, plug that all into Claude, and then take your income, and then plug that in. Say how much should I risk on my accounts, right? And this is my income, so how many accounts should I be buying, right, per month, right? And then do that. Or you could use my just rule of thumb, which is you should have 5 times whatever account you're about to buy, right? I'm just going over how I actually risk on my funded accounts here as well, right? I like to risk the full drawdown, right, to build a buffer, right? And for the daily loss limit accounts, it's $1,000, right, since that is my daily loss limit. And I'm basically going over. I'm risking a thousand, and then farming winning days, and then getting my payout, right? I'm risking 1,000. Kind of had a little losing streak, right? And then just farming winning days after that, right? So yeah, and I'm talking about how the next week I'm probably just gonna go for $200 days, build that buffer back up, risk 1,000 again, and collect another payout, right? So with that being said, I think I talk about now what steps you should actually take, right? Or how long it's gonna expected timeline of this, right? You shouldn't rush anything, right? But you should not just say that and then slack off as well, right? I'd say keep keep progressing as fast as you possibly can, right? But don't try to rush the process. Does that really make sense? No, right? But it's what you have to do, right? So after you learn your strategy, I would say forward test, right? A lot of people just say risk $200 to build confidence on your account, blah, 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 blah. No, forward test, right? Your strategy, you have no risk in the game. You're not really too worried. And then after that, back test and collect data, or do both at the same time, and then get this over with pretty quickly, right? Being unprofitable sucks. We've all been there. I've been there, right? So getting past this is probably getting past this as quick as you can is probably the most beneficial for your long-term success, right? Uh, you'd rather be getting payouts at least while you're learning. So this is basically how you do that, right? So I'd say forward test, back test, collect data. After you back test and collect data, and you're also journaling your forward tests, plug that all into your ChatGPT, your Claude, your calculator, do whatever the flip you want, and actually collect data. I mean, not collect data, but actually see how much you can risk on these accounts correctly, right? Don't just risk $200, $300 because your mentor said so, right? It makes no flipping sense, right? And don't get stuck on just watching videos as well, dude. Like a lot of traders will watch videos, and then they'll get stuck between watching videos and blowing accounts, right? You don't want to be stuck in there. You want to journal your system. You want to have your own understanding in the market, right? To actually collect cash in the market, right? That's how I requested $20,000 in 14 days as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it, right? So don't get stuck into this loop, right, of watching a video and blowing your account, right? And boom, right? So you should expect this to take a couple months to a year, right? To be brutally honest, right? You're not gonna just request $20,000 in 14 days, right? This is obviously for the video, right? But this all takes months to years of actually collecting data, and actually trading, right? This also is dependent on the person, right? I've seen people request their first payout within a month, within a couple weeks, right? Because they just locked in, whatchamacallit, and actually started using the system, right? And actually started trading effectively, right? So this is basically, I'm just giving you just like a basic timeline right here of how long you should expect this to take, right? You could forward test. I'm not saying forward test for a month, right? I'm saying just trading. You're gonna understand. You're gonna watch the strategy, right? For you're probably going to have a great understanding of your strategy within a month, right? After a month, you don't really learn much, right? As long as you're putting your head down, right? This is like absolute like speed running it. As long as you're putting your head down, watching a video every day, learning every day, adapting to the market every day, should take you around a month, and you will know your strategy pretty well, right? It's like the strategy isn't the hardest part, right? After that, to collect 2 to 3 years of back tested data, that'll probably take 2 to 3 months, right? You could probably collect it within 2 weeks as well. Like I'm not lying. Like it doesn't take that long, but the day-to-day process of actually, let's say you're back testing 2 weeks a day, right? Like there is going to be some days you don't do it, and then there's blah blah blah, and there's bullshit in life, right? So I'm not going to expect you to like pop them out in like 1 to 2 weeks, right? But it should take you around 2 to 3 months to collect 2 to 3 years of data, right? And then after that, you just plug it in to your risk structure, right? You plug it into the risk structure calculator, see how much you can risk with your income, right? So you're not going into debt, right? And then stressing yourself out even more, right? And then after you do all that, right, let's say after you've collected your data, after you plugged it into a risk structure calculator, after you forward tested, after you did all that, you know your model now, pretty confident, you're going to be reviewing the charts every single day, right? So my like rule of thumb, right, what I like to do is after the session's over, right, I give myself a little time to refresh my eyes. All right, I'll go over the charts again on FX bar replay, and I'll journal that, review the charts, see what I did wrong, adapt, right, do all that jazz, right? And I like to backtest at least a week on the weekends, right? So about 5 days of trading, right, on the weekends, just to keep my eyes open, just to keep my eyes like adapted to the charts, right? Because it is like a kind of a muscle, right, that I like to, I guess, train, right? So that's pretty much it, right? I don't know what else I type in this video, to be honest with you. I'm very sorry that I did lose the audio for this, because it does kind of suck for me. It does kind of suck for y'all, because I was saying some really good shit in this, but I try to cover it as much as I can with this audio recording. But yeah, I pretty much said what I like to said. You need to journal, and yeah, that's pretty much how I collected $20,000 within 14 days. And with that being said, peace.